civil servant unions have called for an inquiry into sexual harassment at the MoD. I'm going to read into this piece from The Guardian, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here with an article from The Guardian with the headline of Civil Service Unions are calling for an inquiry into sexual harassment at the MoD. Three unions says not enough has been done about 60 women wrote to the ministry last year to allege sexual assault, harassment and abuse. Guys, while you're here, make sure you hit the like button and share it across social media so others are notified of this video. So this is from last year. 60 women have wrote to the ministry, are telling them about alleged sexual assaults, harassments, and abuse. This is from last year, and so far nothing has really been too much about it. They've called for an inquiry on this. Again, nothing has been done about this. This has been shelved and left in the dark. And we've already had the completion of the public inquiry into the blood scandal. And if you want to know my thoughts and all that, you can check out my live stream of the latest of the Snowflake Viewpoint. If you want my thoughts on that, I'll put a link for that in the description if you want to check out my thoughts about that inquiry itself, plus more. But if an inquiry comes into this, it would really open up a can of worms that perhaps politicians will not want, but I think that the public would be interested in. Now, imagine if you made a drama about a bunch of civil servants who are doing this job and they are consistently sexually harassed and whatnot, men and women within their workplace doing the job that they are being asked to do. And it would really cause a lot of anger from the public, as if the public aren't already angry enough with what's been happening in the last 14 years. Now, obviously, there's been a lot of people who have been question marks have been raised over the civil servants and the handling of the blood scandal, and there's absolutely no question about that. But putting that scandal aside, the very possibility that that we've known that there have been some cases of some people within civil servants who have allegedly had these as well. We know that we've been hearing stories about these, and not just at the MoD. I think even at the Home Office there were allegedly some as well. So this kind of stuff is very cause for concern, and we know that the civil servants have also been going through austerity as well, so they've been working even longer as well. So they've been run off their feet by these Conservatives. But this bit here about 60 women who wrote to the ministry last year, and it's just fallen on deaf ears, really just goes to show just how little care they have, this government, about people in general. So, 3 civil service trade unions have written to the Ministry of Defence to call for an independent inquiry into sexual harassment of women in the defence sector, saying it needs to make its workplace safe for female staff. The unions, led by Prospect and joined by academics and women's rights campaigners, said not enough has been done to address the problem since about 60 senior women at the MoD wrote to the department last year to allege sexual assault, harassment and abuse by male colleagues. Sue Ferns, the senior deputy general secretary of Prospect, said successive revelations shown that sexual harassment not only routinely happens, but is effectively tolerated at the MoD. Tolerated. They consider it normal. The people who they consider it normal. It's not normal in the real world. It's 2024 and people still think it's okay to sexually harass women. It is plain to me that left on its own, the MoD is not going to take on the necessary steps to stand this out. This is why we're calling for an independent inquiry into sexual harassment in the MoD, where the department is compelled to heed its recommendations to make workplaces safe for women. If this for me is just it's a no-brainer. If a majority of women are saying this is happening, there needs to be an independent inquiry away from the government, that those who can make the assessment itself. Her call was supported by 3 General Secretaries: David Penman of the FDA, which represents senior civil servants, Fran Heathcote of the PCS, the biggest civil servant trade union, and Paul Nowak of the Trade Union Congress. In the joint letter, they said the revelations in recent months about sexual harassment in the Ministry of Defence are both appalling and depressing. So that so many victims, the vast majority of whom are women, have faced this behaviour is a stain on the reputation of the government. Unfortunately, whilst they are shocked, and they are not surprising. For too long, this type of behaviour has been excused as harmless banter rather than recognised as representatives of a toxic culture and exploited power dynamics. There have been reports of this type of harassment for over 20 years, but this has still not been comprehensively addressed. That's because they have refused to accept, to give women the space that they rightfully so in, and to treat them as individuals and not as sexual objects, because we still have this premise of some men in society who refuse to move on from this kind of rhetoric. They said it was high time that there is a comprehensive and independent inquiry into sexual harassment in defence that listens to victims and make binding recommendations for action by the MoD. The problem has gained traction since 60 women within the MoD, first reported by The Guardian in November, gave accounts that included claims that women have been positioned, groped and touched repeatedly by male colleagues in a workplace culture but the civil servants said was hostile to women as equal as respective partners. Since then, more women have come forward to prospects and other unions, including one MoD civil servant who told of being subjected to 3 separate incidents of sexual assault by male colleagues. More recently, a woman in the Navy said sexual harassment was subject to dismissed as banter. Wow. A survey of prospect members in the defence sector generally showed about 60% had expressed or witnessed sexual harassment at work. At the time of the original letter from 60 MoD women, a department spokesperson said no women should be made to feel unsafe in the Ministry of Defence, and this behaviour is not tolerated. We are committed to stamping this out, and we continue to encourage anyone who has experienced or witnessed this kind of inexcusable behaviour to report it immediately. The Ministry of Defence said the department had launched a review of its complaints procedure. A spokesperson said sexual harassment is completely unacceptable, and we are committed to stamping it out whenever it is found. We encourage anyone who has experienced it or witnessed this kind of inexcusable conduct to report it immediately. As part of our plans to address instances of unacceptable behaviour, we have launched a review into our complaints procedure in consultation with external bodies, including trade unions, who are able to input. We're talking about 20 years here. It says here this has been roughly, this kind of harassment has been 20 years. And this is the last year. There's been more than 60 women have wrote last year. A year ago. And this is still happening. And the reason we don't hear about it enough is because it's not reported enough. And fair play for The Guardian for pulling this out, because this is unacceptable. Like, whatever you might think of civil servants, whatever you might think of their jobs and whatnot, yeah, in your workplace, do you consider in your workplace where you work, do you consider sexual harassment to be appropriate? No, of course you don't. I don't understand why this is so hard for some men to accept. It really is not that hard to get over it. It's 2024 now. We're not in those day and ages. We've long passed those day and ages, yet there are still people in society who still think this is okay. I don't understand why people still think this is okay. I really, really don't. And this kind of crap just leads down really dark paths for some women. Really down dangerous paths. And it can scar them. You know, these things. There should be a public inquiry. There should be a public inquiry. Clear the air. Free from the government to don't let the government make these decisions. Don't let people in the department make these decisions. Let an independent inquiry go in, clear the air, and say it's exactly what needs to be said, and find out what exactly he needs to know right from the heart of this. Because clearly, if this has been going on for a year, and they're saying they're making robust changes and whatnots, clearly it's not. And we know this stinking Conservative Party has come across many sex scandals as itself with some of its MPs. Abhorrent things. So we know this Conservative government has been nothing short of being anything but favourable for women and women's rights. So we know that. But do we expect the government, this Conservative Party, to give them a public inquiry? No, I don't think they will. But what do you guys think? What do you guys make of this story? What do you make of the fact that women within the MoD and maybe even other departments allegedly are being sexually harassed? Let me know your thoughts and more about all this in the comment section down below. If you found this video informative, please hit the like button. We greatly appreciate it. Share it across social media so others are notified of this video. And subscribe, because it really does help support the channel. And if you want to go one step further, financially support me in the work that I do here, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p. Or join me on Rumble, Patreon, or Facebook for exclusive content on those platforms. So thank you all so much for watching. I hope to catch you all very, very soon.